On that note, folks, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our panel for today. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing?
Hi, Kevin. Hi, everybody. Hi, Michelle. Good to have you
Hey,
back.
Always
good
good.
to see you guys again.
Always. Tong, Mr. Tong Vu, take it away, sir.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Michelle, great to have you here. And I wonder, why did you choose the topic of vaccine? Because,
Um,
go
well,
ahead.
I didn't necessarily choose the topic, but I think it's important to be discussed because the rollout is gaining speed. They estimate tomorrow, I believe it is, they will hit their goal of 100 million vaccinations. There seems to be, issues in different communities in different areas, different rules. Some states are saying anybody can get it. Some states are saying only those with comorbidities and age. Some people are saying we need to do the teachers. So there's a lot to discuss. And I think one of the big discussions that we need to look at is there seems to be a question of when you get the vaccine, you're going to get a little card that says, I've been vaccinated. And my question is kind of what is that card going to get you? I mean, is it going to make it so that if you don't have that card, you can't go to a concert or get on an airplane? Or are nail salons going to be asking their clients, have they been vaccinated? And they're going to have to bring proof, which I find kind of fascinating because no one's ever asked me if I've had a flu shot. So I think there's a lot of things about the vaccine that need to be kind of pulled out into the sunlight and kind of discussed.
By the way, I'm not a vaccine developer. I am not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field. You know, I just have some time to look into some of the data and analyze it and have some understanding, my own understanding. It sometimes is, the same as what you already see. Sometimes it's different from what you already heard from
Mhm.
the news. So I think it's good to bouncing off the information together.
Mhm.
Okay. So what we are using today, whatever we share, we are not the authority. We're not telling our audience what to do. It's just sharing what we know.
I'm not a doctor, but I think that we all have our feelings about the vaccine, and I think it's important to not misdirect people whether they should get it or not get it or get away from it or do it or whatever. I think that we should be able to do our own research and make our own decisions. So I think that's really important that people know that at this point in time.
Okay. So go ahead, Michelle. Let's start with your first question.
Um, One of my questions was actually about the vaccine. Does it contain preservatives? Because so many people have allergies to preservatives. And from the research I have done, they are saying that two of them have to be frozen in order to remain stable, and one of them does not. So, does that mean that one has preservatives in it? Is there any way to find out if there's a preservative in the vaccine?
Okay, so you're right. There are preservative in the all of the vaccines. Some of them have, some of them don't have. But beside the main ingredients, they have something else. You know, um, if it's not preservative, then it's something else that make it easy to dilute or to easy injection, something like that. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a pharmacist or anything, but I know this here. You see those ingredients in Pfizer vaccine?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of them, right?
Yep.
Uh, the second one is Moderna, less ingredients in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we have the one from AstraZeneca, Oxford, you know, uh, even less, but there's something else in there beside the main ingredients. Okay, so it's almost have something else, right? And then Your question is if there is any chance of having allergic reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then okay, you just talk with your doctor and share with them your concern, and they will give you a good advice because they should know this. If they
Yeah.
say they don't know, then you ask another doctor.
Yeah. Ask another doctor. Yeah. Ask another doctor if they're not real sure. I think that's an excellent graph that you're showing there. And I also think that that's excellent advice to, if you have concerns about what's in the vaccine, ask your doctor or ask a pharmacist because they're going to know the chemical breakdown and more of what's in it.
There are two things, two types of vaccine. Okay, the
Okay.
the the one that you think is supposed to do what is called sterilization. You know, it's a vaccine that makes sure that you have zero chance of having it. You know, absolute. It's 100% bulletproof, right?
Okay.
It's called sterilization vaccine. Uh,
Oh,
and you know that is the ideal goal, but in this case, it looked like the world have more than a handful of vaccine, but none of that have that.
okay.
That is the ideal goal. It's just like, oh, you want to be the greatest, your number one of lifetime soccer player team, or you know, you're number one of everything. It's
Mm,
very hard to get there, you know. And sometimes if you want to set the goal too high, and then if you don't reach that, you upset and you kill the project, then you may lose some valuable, even though it's not reaching that high 100%, but
mhm.
85%. Okay, in this case, greater than 50% is good, is a pass. You know, initially that's the
Oh,
goal for the regulator, including FDA, that if the vaccine developed have greater than 50% efficacy, it will be a pass. But later on, when the student, you know, turn in the essay and they all have, you know, better than 50, so they come, you know, they say I have 90, I have 95, I have 70. Okay, they all better than 50. They all pass.
yeah.
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 So it's not a sterilization, but it's good enough.
Okay. See, I didn't know that one vaccine would sterilize something versus one
No,
reducing.
they call it sterilized, meaning, you know, it's
Yeah,
not meaning like using the disinfectant or
right.
sterilization, killing the germ, but
Yeah.
in the preventive mentality, you know, it prevents 100%. So they call it sterilized.
I thought for this industry, though, I think that's an interesting question to ask, especially because we are in such close proximity. But it still doesn't change how we treat that client, what services we provide, or our own safety protocols, whether they're vaccinated or not. So I
Right.
think, I don't even think anybody actually even looked at it that way to think whether we should ask or whether we should not ask. But I can tell you during flu season, regular flu season, I never ask anybody whether they've had a flu shot. I just, you
Right.
know, I know even though it sounds funny to say, I treat everybody like they're a potential contagion, and I treat everybody should treat me like I'm a potential contagion too, because they don't know if I have a sinus infection or if I have, something like that. So I think just even when COVID is all gone, I think it's very important to wash your hands and to be very careful.
So you are not going to ask them, you know, for something special, but when they share with you, oh, Michelle, I am vaccinated. Okay, I am not going to wear a mask. So what are you going to tell them?
If they haven't had both shots and they haven't been beyond the time period that's dictated by the CDC for the efficacy of the shot, they should probably put that mask back on. However, in the state of Georgia, the rule from state board says I have to wear one. They don't. They said, "Do you want me to wear a mask?" And I'm like, "Well, it's required that I do. I prefer that you would, but if you don't want to, that's up to you." Both of them, I was 6 feet away doing their services because they were both very tall people and they were getting pedicures. So I was way at the other end of them.
Right.
So, But in Georgia right now, the technician has to wear a mask, but it's not mandated that the client does. It's suggested.
The law tell us to do the right thing, right?
Correct.
And we think that's the right thing too. It's perfect, right? Sometimes it's mismatch, and we know this much, and maybe the government know more. They tell us what to do, and we just accept it. And sometimes it's make the population safer.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we have to think that the law often apply to the whole population evenly. Hopefully, we don't have discrimination law, right? So if the
Right.
law apply to everybody the same to serve one purpose, then there will be some people will disagree. Some people, agree. And the reason the disagree people may have their own reason. So and then sometimes we their reason may make sense to them because of their knowledge. And
Correct.
if we think this law is correct and we share with them, okay, the reason why you think it's correct, they may change their mind. They have another knowledge coming from you. So
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have to argue too much, just sharing information, and maybe things can be changed, right? So in this case, what do you feel if your client not wearing mask? What do you feel? You feel a little bit nervous, a little bit worried, or not worry at all?
Actually, I don't worry at all.
You don't worry at all?
Mm-mm. The reason why I don't worry at all is my clients that have been with me a long time, I have a lot of, I don't necessarily want to use the word faith, but for lack of a better word right now, because they all know I have a husband that's immunocompromised and I have a mother that is 92 years old that lives with me. So they're going to do all they can to not expose me to anything.
Right.
I have had clients that have came in for services, like they come for a pedicure every 6 weeks. I've had clients call me after 3 weeks after they've seen me to say, I've been diagnosed with COVID. You have to cancel my next appointment. I have had them actually take a picture of their negative COVID test and send it to me and say, I'd like another appointment now. So they're very protective of me. They really have been. When they tell me that they've been diagnosed with COVID, I ask them, I'm like, do I need to be concerned? And they're like, no, I spoke with my doctor. My doctor said I was in to see you on this day. This is when I possibly got exposed because of how I am right now. So you are more than likely safe. So I've been very lucky that my clients know my personal situation at home. So they've been very, very protective. I've had several clients that have COVID. I have people that I do both the husband and the wife, and the husband got sick and the wife never did, or vice versa. I have had clients who have been so sick they've been in the hospital with pneumonia and it took them a long time to recover. But everybody has been very, very, very careful of me. And I never take my mask off. I wear it all day in the salon unless I'm in my suite by myself. Otherwise it stays on. And I feel very safe. I have not felt, oh my gosh, somebody got COVID and I'm worried about it because they weren't wearing a mask, because I have not had that experience. So I don't know if I'm being foolish or if I'm blessed or if I've just been lucky. I don't know. So I don't worry about it too much. I don't make my clients wear a mask because it's just not required and I don't feel unsafe. And like I said, I don't know if it's just because I've been lucky or my clients have just been so careful about calling me. Because initially, when COVID was so rampant, I didn't take new clients. I only took my clients I know. I just recently started taking new clients. And all my new clients that came in, they all wear masks. It's like it's becoming a part of their fashion, I guess.
Let me ask you. You give me the two example of your friends, right?
Uh-huh.
How old are they? Are they different in age?
They are different in age. One of them is a couple, and they both had COVID back at the beginning, and they were very, very sick. He ended up in the hospital with pneumonia, and they are in their 70s. the other clients that have gotten the shot and were sick for like 3 days, 4 days with it, they're my age. So it makes me wonder, because they never had COVID. So, and I'm finding a lot of my clients that are getting COVID, are getting the vaccine, are the ones who have parents that are in nursing homes, because the nursing homes won't let you see your parents unless you have had the shot. And so they're doing that. And I know people that haven't seen their parents in a year, except through a window. And I just feel so guilty if I was to take their spot in line. I would rather let the numbers go down and people waiting, hang around, be like one of the last few in my area, so that all these other people that are in such desperate need for different reasons can get it.
Could you tell us what happened in Georgia and your thoughts about that? And then after that, we will get to Vustat, and I think people can handle that today. Go ahead, Michelle.
So I am very heartbroken for the Asian American Pacific Islander community. I'm very heartbroken for everybody's families who are having to go through the fallout, the death, the planning, the funerals for what happened here. It was horrifying for the clients that were in those facilities when this went down. It is horrifying for the families now that have to plan funerals, that weren't expecting their loved ones to not come home after work. And I realized that a lot of the Asian communities have suffered so much in the past year, but it was before that too. I am not going to fool myself and say, well, until COVID came along, the Asian community was safe, because it wasn't. I live here in Atlanta, and there are a lot of Asian nail technicians, massage therapists, estheticians, restaurant owners. We have a huge Asian population. Yeah. We are like the 4th largest Asian population in the country. Yes. So we have a lot of Asian, a huge Vietnamese and Korean community in this area. And people have targeted them for a long time. And COVID made that targeting worse, because people were afraid of something they couldn't see and how much of a change it made in their lives, that they just lashed out as something that they viewed in their eyes is what it looked like. And that's not what the virus is. The virus doesn't discriminate. It doesn't have a passport. It doesn't have anything specific, a birth certificate that says this is where I came from and this is how I am.
Right.
It is a germ, and it did come in different areas into the United States. But we have almost been raised in this country and across the world that when something bad happens, we have to find someone to blame. Of course. Yeah. We have to find someone to point a finger at. And what happened yesterday in this shooting was horrifying, and it really shook a lot of people. There is a lot of speculation as to the motive behind the person who did the shooting. And so I think instead of everybody needing to divide us up and say, okay, if you think this way, this is who you are, or if you think this way, this is who you are, we need to be thinking and praying for those families. We need to lift up those families. We need to lift up the Asian community, and we need to stop saying, my problem is because of you. And we do that with everything. We've done it all of our lives across the country, everywhere. When we're not happy, somebody has to be pointed out as the problem of it. You know me, Kelvin, I have tons of Asian friends that are in the salon industry, and I will bend over backwards to help them with anything that they need. And I just, when this happened, I was just horrified. I was literally horrified that somebody would do this. And there's a lot of things that need to be fixed in this situation. The reaction of the public, the reaction of the media, and the reaction of our governments, because everybody's looking for somebody to blame and point fingers at, and they need to blame the shooter.
You know, the vaccination is very important, especially when you really think how it's going to affect your business as a nail professional. Okay, folks? So make sure you go back there and you watch it and you share and you follow us and you like us. Okay, and if you have any questions for me, Tong Vu, or of course Michelle, our guest today, you can always use that blue button on our VNTV TV page. On that note, folks, I would like to say thanks again. Be safe, okay? Go get vaccinated, and peace out.